Charmaine will now speak about Ann James.
Hello, I get to have the pleasure of speaking about Ann. And so it is hard, of course, to sum up someone's life in 60 seconds. And currently she's our treasurer for the UU. She's on the garden team. She volunteers at the library. And then she goes home and gardens on her 5 acres and takes care of the cattle. And that's just this week. Yeah. So Ann is a model of self-reliance and someone who loves to learn. And has a great sense of humor as well. During a time when women were not pushing forward in earning degrees in fields like math and science, Ann earned a degree in zoology and has worked as an accountant for an insurance company as well as for a local Democratic group. She has also worked on mainframe computers in 1957. So she's, kind of pushing forward, especially during a time that women weren't able to do that. She tried to get a job with her zoology degree after graduating, and was told that, quote, "We don't hire girls," unquote. But that didn't stop her. She just kept on working as a clerk in the insurance company, and then moved up from there. Her family immigrated from Ireland, and she grew up Protestant. But she felt that the only reason that she went to church was because her mother wanted to get her out of the house. So, Ann became a UU at the age of 36. And the story is kind of interesting because she realized as a single female that she wanted to find a social group and a spiritual social group. So she tried out some of the local churches every Sunday. She would just pick some from the yellow pages. And she found that being a single woman going to churches, she described that the wives would oftentimes clutch their husbands a little bit closer because they perceived her as a predator. So she came here at the age of 36 and joined the UU Singletarians and met her husband, Glenn, at that. So she felt that we were the most accepting group, and plus we had social gatherings. And so consequently, she did meet her husband here, married Glenn D. James at the age of 38, and they adopted 3 children, 2 of which that she's still in contact with and one that has passed away. I really appreciate, she never really considered the meaning of life. She didn't think that was important. She basically takes it one day at a time, and she just basically says that her and her husband would come together when there was a worry or a concern. They would each present different options, pick one, and move on. And so even though she said that she doesn't want to give advice to the younger generation, I feel like that might be her advice, is not to worry and take one day at a time. So thank you, Ann, for being here with us.
Thank you, Charmaine. Ann James.
Where the hell did I put my keys? Oh, look, there they are, underneath the TV guide. Memory, what became of the short term? I remember the old days. I was sharper back then. If I eat fish and do the crossword every day, will the brain cells grow again? I could swear I put those tickets right here in my wallet. Now I'm late. I thought the show started at 8. I wrote that in my whatchamacallit. Dad, what did I walk in this room for? I was younger. I took too many lewds. Where's the ginkgo biloba that I picked up today. Oh, I left it at Whole Foods. What the heck is that guy's name? I sing with him in the choir. Did I turn off both of the burners? Or is my house on fire? Shoot me! Put me out of my misery, or just leave me to wander in the mall's parking lot. If they ask, tell them I once had a memory too. What was the question? I forgot.
And Sue Chippendale will now speak about Barbara Lees.
Barbara Lees, right here. I found her to be interesting, funny, smart, accomplished, and very talented. Barbara was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and is an 11th generation American, with both sides of her family come to America to seek religious freedom in the 1600s. And Barbara started her religious journey as a Methodist. But one day she was playing in a musical quartet, or rather she would often play in a musical quartet that would play at UU services, and she recalls that she liked them. And eventually she became a UU, drawn especially by its multi-inclusiveness. Barbara relates that she was into everything when growing up. Activities such as ice skating, archery, and tennis were hugely important to her. But I think the overall theme for Barbara's life is her talent for music. And she has been giving lessons since she was 14, and she is still giving music lessons to this day. She started out playing piano by ear, but eventually she played the French horn in order to meet nice guys, rather cute guys, really, is what she said. And she plays piano by ear and everything. The highlight of Barbara's life is performing at the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, Australia. And she was a musician first before she became a proficient archer, and she did very well while competing in the Senior Olympics. Barbara has, a wonderful sense of humor, and when asked about her feelings or opinions about our future as a nation and as a planet, she replied, "I haven't a clue." Her parting words to me were, "Treasure love." This is Barbara Lees.
Thank you, Sue. Barbara Lees.
I'm here to talk about Janet Wyman. She remembers growing up celebrating the religious holidays with her close-knit family that took her from Pennsylvania to Seattle to San Diego. Her father would take the family on walks on Sundays, exploring different neighborhoods and checking out the churches to see where they might like to attend. There was lots of storytelling and reading in her early life, and she attributes her lifelong love of reading and membership in book clubs to this early experience. Janet was an active young girl, involved in youth groups and choirs at church, also in the Camp Fair Girls, where she became a camp counselor. In high school, she was active in drama and was a class officer. And in college, at San Diego State, she was a representative for the Student Methodist Center. Before she married Charles, the two were attending a UU church together, the one in LA. And later, when his parents would pay for a babysitter, they would go to the Theosophist Lodge together. But she was more attractive attracted to the UU tradition, specifically of not having to swear allegiance or a belief in something. And so they joined that small congregation of La Cañada, where they were active members for 48 years before moving here to Templeton. Janet says she's not convinced there is a meaning to life. The challenge, she says, is just to live it. Learning how to live and becoming who you are, to Janet's mind, are lifelong tasks. She's most proud of earning her master's degree in social work from USC, and she's also proud of her children, Carl, Marie, and David, who she says are great and good people. The biggest highlight of her life, bringing home her first child. The biggest miracle, she said. She strongly believes that every child should be a wanted child, and so she's a supporter of Planned Parenthood and population control and conservation so that the planet can adequately support life. Her advice to people who are looking for how they should be attaining her level at this point in their lives is to try to do good work, to learn how to live with one another and enjoy yourself. Janet Wyman.
Thank you very much. And
Hello, everybody. Well, I had a very interesting meeting with Dick and learned a lot of interesting things about him. Dick was born on January 23rd, 1935 in Chicago, Illinois, and he graduated with a BS in chemical engineering from the University of Illinois, and his first job was as a chemical engineer in Berkeley, California. But that wasn't good enough for him. It wasn't interesting enough. He loses interest quickly. He likes to learn new things all the time, so he decided to enroll in Golden Gate Law School. And he passed the bar exam the first time he took it, which I understand is rather rare. That was in 1964. He became a patent attorney, which turned out to be a perfect fit for his education, experience, and personality. Did I mention he likes innovation and change? So there's always something new to look at in patents. So after years of attending mainstream churches, first when he was quite young, at 7 or 8, he was scared to death by the people at the Fundamentalist Baptist Church, and then he went to a Congregationalist church and was there active for quite some time. But he began to wonder why all of these mainstream churches emphasized the hereafter, what was going to come later, and nobody was looking at what's happening right now on earth. And then Dick heard his first Unitarian minister speak in 1957. It was an eye-opener for him. He converted immediately and has remained an active UU ever since. Golden Gate Law School, and he passed the bar exam the first time he took it, which I understand is rather rare. That was in 1964.
And now?
And I really had a great time interviewing her because I got to learn so much about her and the amazing life she's led. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and spent a lot of her youth living with other family members, including her great-grandparents. She's descended from the Mayflower families. How about that? We have one of those in our midst. She was very influenced by her great-grandfather, who taught her her wonderful work ethic and pulled out her first tooth. Gail has 3 children. One of our own is Joe Ernst, who is a member of our congregation, and 2 sons, Dwight and Dale. Her German upbringing had a great influence on her, and at one point she and her husband were in Germany, and she got to really explore the German side of her ancestry and loves to cook German food even to this day. She's still in touch with one of those friends she made way back then. When her first marriage ended, she ended up loading up her 3 children all by herself and taking a cross-country tour to Lompoc, and she stayed there in 1968. When you go to Gail's house, the first thing you notice, other than all the honeybee memorabilia and wonderful family photos, is her refrigerator is covered with travel magnets. Wherever she's been, it's up and down and on both sides. She really enjoys traveling any way she can. Trains, planes, automobiles, RVs, and cruising. She likes to keep a-wandering. She went to El Salvador with her granddaughter and her family last year. Because Gail lived with many different family members, she got to experience many different religious groups. Everything from Congregational, Christian Science, Presbyterian, and many others. It helped her gain a broad life view. She remembers that one particular youth group that was a big influence on her by taking her class around to other churches and exposing the kids to other beliefs. She got involved in UU in 1970 when her son Dwight, who was attending a UU in Boston, encouraged her to attend. And she's been coming ever since. Gail's philosophy is to just keep on keeping on. She lost her son Dale in 2014. Before he passed, they had many great conversations. This left her with a sense of peace. She feels she has had an amazing life, lived to the utmost, and is happy. 3 children, 8 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild are the meaning of life for Gail. She does wonder, however, how she ever got along without a cell phone. Her words of wisdom are love your kids and do the best you can.
And now, to speak about
of medicine and music. He grew up with music surrounding him. His mom was a piano teacher, and Quinn learned soon in life that he was capable of perfect pitch. And I believe we're going to hear a little bit from Quinn sampling that in a little bit here. Quinn trained as an anesthesiologist and practiced medicine, and if it weren't for ragweed pollen, Quinn wouldn't be in California. Quinn came to get away from ragweed pollen and settled here happily and hopefully allergy-free. Quinn is very proud of his 3 kids. He passed on a legacy of education to them, and they each, 3 of his kids have master's degrees. Quinn had quite an adventure. One time he was a pilot. Quinn has operated his own plane and piloted throughout the West. And one time he had fuel pump problems and the engine quit over Oregon, and he had to come down after switching fuel pumps, but it was a very heart-wringing experience for Quinn. So let me introduce to you, if you don't already know Quinn, Quinn House.
Quinn House, and a little spontaneity.
Four strong winds that blow lovely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. But our times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way.
Really happy to have been the one to interview Maureen Fournier for this particular occasion. She's both my neighbor and my friend. And I'd like to start by telling you that she was born in Syracuse, New York. Oh, okay. She was born in Syracuse, New York. She had a brother and sister, and they were both significantly older than her, 13 and 11 years. So she was pretty much raised almost like an only child, which was kind of fun, I imagine, in some ways. Anyway, Maureen was born into an Irish Catholic family on both sides, Irish on both sides. But I don't think that the Irish tradition was really strong in your family. I didn't get that impression at all. She was very
much a musical child. As a child, she learned how to play the piano, and after that, she became very proficient with the clarinet and the bass clarinet until she went off to high school, and she was winning honors and awards and so on because she was so excellent at what she was doing, which was nice. What happened after that, Maureen? No, I think I want to talk about the fact that you travel a lot. That she had a super adventure when she was about 15. She went across country with her mother from New York to California. And I suppose she loves to travel, she loves to experience new cultures and new people and new situations, and I think that might have had something to do with it, that early adventure that you got out on the road with your mom at that time was kind of part of the program. Anyway, she did go off to Cornell, and she graduated from Cornell with a BA in home economics. In her last year, her senior year, her sister had been kind of incorporated into the UU at that time. So she pretty much had an idea what the UU was about. And generally her philosophy and her ideas pretty much go right along with the UU all the way down the line as far as how they feel about people and dignity and world justice, etc. And so that was part of her lifestyle and her philosophy. She went to Cornell in her senior year. She met really the love of her life, her soulmate, became her best friend, and his name was Bill. And lo and behold, he'd been in UU since he was 15. So probably not a surprise that she made that connection. And so they got married after graduation, and she was busy being a teacher at that point, and taught a year of home economics, etc. And we had to travel on. Now, it's really kind of appropriate that I'm the last person up here because I'm going to talk about a legacy situation for the UU, for our particular church, which you guys may or may not be aware of, okay? In 1980, after they had been together and she had 2 children and the children had gone off to college, Bill applied for a position at Cal Poly, and he got it, and they moved to San Luis Obispo. Much to their surprise, when they looked around the San Luis Obispo in 1980, there was no Unitarian at all, no church per se. But luckily, they ran almost immediately into some people that were UUs, and they began to form like a communal group with them. In other words, 6 to 10 of them started getting together on Sundays in homes. Eventually, that became the nucleus group that this church came from. First, they got together and they created and put together, I guess what you say, they created the money or monetary, anyway, the push in order to get the church over on Foothill, something to that effect. In all of those years, both Maureen and her husband were president of the board, the UU. Okay, and I think from the first beginning church is really what we're seeing here today, a Unitarian community, you know, within San Luis Obispo that didn't exist before these 6 to 10 people who were UUs started meeting on Sundays in their home. So really, your legacy in a lot of ways is this organization, our church, our community, and the fact that we have Unitarians here. And by the way, I'm pretty sure that Pat Miller and Bruce were part of that group.
Well, the original group in the 60s.
Yes.
I thought you said
Yes.
80s.
Yes.
I could add that we had kids, and that was the big selling part of when we arrived. They said, oh boy, they're bringing kids, we're having Sunday school.
Children. Anyway, I'm thrilled to be Maureen's friend, and I'm happy to have done this. Okay. As far as attitude, she's really positive about everything. Seriously.
Thank you all.
Like statues, they don't turn their heads as they see me ride by, but a little round
people up here that have been so helpful today. Could you all come up here? Celebration, a truly intergenerational event.
Come sing a song with me.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that grows in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, another time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that grows in the winter time.